Any of these interpretations would be at odds with the purpose and orientation of the Charter, as well as with the specific provisions regarding freedom of religion and conscience under Section 2. Rather, I argue that the supremacy of God should be seen as a twin pillar to the rule of law, as a moral complement to the descriptive protection and rights contained in the Charter. The concept of human dignity may serve to bridge these pillars and unite faith with reason in constitutional discourse. Because the Court's articulation of human dignity has been disconnected from any appeal to moral authority, however, it has served as a shifting, ineffective, and incoherent constitutional norm. So that's quite a statement. That's why you have situation ethics, and the ethics can change from month to month or from year to year. Now, Law versus Canada, Minister of Employment and Immigration, the Court offered the following articulation of human dignity as a constitutional norm in the context of equality analysis under Section 15 of the Charter. Human dignity means that an individual or group feels self-respect and self-worth. It is concerned with physical and psychological integrity and empowerment. The human dignity is harmed by unfair treatment premised on personal traits or circumstances that do not relate to human individual needs, capacities, or merits. It is enhanced by laws that are sensitive to the needs, capacities, merits of different individuals, taking into account the context or their underlying differences. Human dignity is harmed when individuals or groups are marginalized, ignited, or devalued, and is enhanced when the laws recognize the full place of individuals and groups within Canadian society. While many may agree that human dignity ought to be a cornerstone of Canada's system of justice, there is far less agreement as to the content of human dignity and of what role it should play in the constitutional interpretations. Does human dignity encompass only negative freedoms, such as the right not to have one's bodily integrity or privacy violated, or may it extend to positive freedoms such as the right to adequate food, shelter, clothing, health care, legal assistance, and education? The concept of human dignity is inherently subjective, informed by personal predilection, community values, religious doctrine, ethnic identity, gender, race, age, and ideological conviction, just to scratch the surface. It is also expressly normative. Every attempt to describe its essence or apply it as a constitutional principle embodies a claim regarding morality, good, and morally good, and socially just relations between individuals, groups, and the state. So here's the key words here: your relationship to the state that produced this document. In short, adopting a particular understanding of human dignity requires a leap of faith. A review of the major Supreme Court decisions regarding the discussion of human dignity in the Charter discloses that it has been invoked by the Court most often in 6 legal settings: psychological integrity, physical security, privacy, personal autonomy, professional reputation, and personal affiliation or group identity. What links together these concerns? In most of these categories, human dignity appears as a manifestation of the liberal individual ethos. In other words, human dignity is about what makes individuals unique and self-contained. The Court, however, does not justify its use of the concepts on those terms or on any terms. Human dignity appears to the Court as a self-evident meta-norm of the Canadian society, as underpinning what some observers identify as a legal humanism. And there's the point. When you are born, you receive a birth certificate that is obligated because your parents received a state marriage license. And just recall, in ancient Israel, the temple didn't marry anybody. It wasn't authorized by, the judiciary. It was a contract between two families, basically, because nobody owns anything. God owns everything. He owns all the land. He assigns property, which is a personal possession and title in the family lines, and it has to remain in family lines. And where it gets out of family lines is returned on the year of the Jubilee. It returns to the family. Legal Normanism is talking about the national man or the national entity that is subject to these state laws that are changed and modified and reversed. So 1 week what you're doing is legal, and a week later it's illegal according to legal humanism. So just keep that in mind. We're talking about two individuals here, two people. If one looks at human dignity through the lens of the supremacy of God, a different set of claims regarding its content and scope may emerge. For example, if I take the supremacy of God to reflect the conviction that all people have equal moral worth, then human dignity is not just what separates us as individuals, but rather what binds us together as a community of mutual obligation. On this view of human dignity, it would be untenable to see the loss of a professional reputation as an issue of human dignity. Not the right to have a roof over your head or food to feed your family or adequate health care are not. Human dignity is taken as a social as well as individual norm renders untenable the sharp line between negative and positive constitutional liberties. To illustrate the shortcoming of the basic paradigm, consider that the recent decision of the Supreme Court in Gosselin versus Quebec, in this case the court considered inter alia that the state owed a positive obligation of providing social welfare as a result to life, liberty, and the security of the person under Section 7 of the Charter. The majority concluded that no person has a right to welfare under the Charter. Nobody has a right to welfare under the Charter. Earlier case law from the court had left open the possibility that economic rights fundamental to human survival are being protected by the Charter. Gosselin, the majority held that this section related at its core to protecting the individual in the administration of justice, while they did not close the door on recognizing the positive obligations on the state in special circumstances. A duty on the government to ensure the economic survival of vulnerable citizens was, in the majority's view, beyond the scope of the Charter. Thus, the concept of human dignity has been harnessed so far by the Charter as often to underscore the limitations of the Charter to extend its grasp. There is no discussion of where the human dignity comes from, except to say it is fundamental and essential to the operation of the Charter by declaration. It is in precisely these circumstances where the animating principles of constitutional document are at issue and that a preamble may take on special significance. I think we all understand that the covenant and the Bible as a whole is a book of responsibilities, even more than rights. The rights are assigned and you get your rights from your Creator. But it's a book of your responsibilities, because if everybody fulfilled their responsibilities, which they have to do in God's law or under the terms of the covenant, you wouldn't need any additional rights in any event. They would be fulfilled if people all fulfill their responsibilities. So when you're reading Scripture, just keep that in mind, right? These rights that are assigned by God have to be fulfilled by people that fulfill their responsibilities. And it's a sin, potentially a death sentence, certainly with penalties attached to it, where they don't. So God's Constitution, his covenant, is filled with moral obligations, none of which require human dignity to be enhanced. Your human dignity is enhanced by what you do and what you don't do, and what people may or may not think about you enhances or degrades your dignity. And if it's degraded because of your horrible conduct, well, that's tough bananas. Then change your